Hello everyone, welcome back to Pabbly. In this video, we're going to learn how to create live webinar registrant on Instamojo sale. So I'm a business coach and I organize a lot of webinars in my business. I collect the payments from the participants who are interested in my webinar with the help of Instamojo, and I use LiveWebinar in order to manage all the webinars that I'm hosting. Here what I want is that as soon as by the participant a payment is going to be done using Instamojo, as they're going to enroll for any of the webinars that I'm hosting, I am going to create that participant as a registrant in LiveWebinar account in the webinar that I have created. Now doing this manually is very time consuming. So what I've done is I've simply automated this entire process with the help of Pabbly Connect, which is an amazing automation and integration software. And here in this automation, I'm going to build a connection between Instamojo and LiveWebinar with the help of it. So if you also want to learn about this amazing automation process step by step, for that let me take you to my screen. In this video, we're going to learn how to create live webinar registrant on Instamojo sale. So I am a business coach and I regularly conduct live webinars to share my experience and connect with my audience. I use Instamojo to collect the payments for my coaching sessions, providing a simple and secure payment experience to my clients. At the same time, I use LiveWebinar to host my live sessions, offering an engaging platform for delivering valuable insights. By automating the process between Instamojo and LiveWebinar, every time someone makes a payment with the help of Instamojo, registering themselves for the session that I'm hosting, automatically that participant is going to be created as a registrant in my LiveWebinar account in the webinar that I'm hosting. This seamless integration helps me to save time and ensures smooth experience for my participants. And I'm going to create this amazing automation between Instamojo and LiveWebinar with the help of Pabbly Connect. So on the screen, you can see the website of Pabbly Connect, that is pabbly.com/connect. After browsing this website, we need to sign into our Pabbly Connect account. But if you're a new user, you can sign up for free and get 100 free tasks every month. So as I'm an existing user, I'm going to sign into my Pabbly Connect account. After signing in, you can see the all Pabbly apps in front of you, in which you can see all the products that Pabbly provides, from which we are going to select Pabbly Connect by clicking on this Access Now button right here. Then Pabbly Connect's dashboard is going to appear in front of you. In order to start an automation process in Pabbly Connect, we need to create a workflow. For that, click on this top right corner button right here that says Create Workflow. A dialog box is then going to appear in front of you, which is asking for the workflow name and for us to select a folder. So for the name of my workflow over here, I'm going to give it as Create Live Webinar Registrant on Instamojo Sale. So this is the name that I want to give to my workflow, okay? After that, it is asking for us to select a folder. So on the left side of my screen, you can see I've created multiple folders in my Pabbly Connect account, from which I'm going to select a specific folder in which I want to save this workflow in. For that, click on this drop down. These are the folders, from which I'm going to select Instamojo Automations as the folder I want to save this workflow in. After giving the name to the workflow and selecting the folder, let's click on this Create button in order to create a workflow. A workflow is created in the name of Create Live Webinar Registrant or Instamojo Sale, and you can see that there are two windows in front of you. One says Trigger, other says Action. So what is Trigger and Action? Trigger and Action are the two most important steps of our automation process because our process depends on these two principles. Over here, Trigger says when this happens and Action says do this. That means what is Action? Action is a response towards our trigger. In an automation process, there can be only one trigger step but multiple action steps. We are going to set up our trigger step first. And for the trigger application over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it as Instamojo. As with the help of Instamojo, I'm collecting the payments from the participants who are going to purchase the webinar that I'm hosting. I want that as soon as a new purchase is going to be done by the participant using Instamojo, the trigger over here should capture the response of the payment details, okay? That is why for my trigger application, I've selected it as Instamojo V1, and for the trigger event, I'm going to select it as New Sale. After selecting the trigger application and the event, you can see that Pabbly Connect has provided us with a webhook URL. Now using this unique webhook URL, we are going to build the connection between Instamojo and Pabbly Connect by following the steps given here below in the help desk. So firstly, I'm going to copy this URL from here. After copying the URL, log into your Instamojo account that you want to connect to Pabbly Connect. So this is my Instamojo account, and in my account, I have created multiple smart pages with the help of which I collect the payments from my participants. So this is a smart page for the webinar that I'm hosting right over here in the name of Mastering Business Automation Strategies for Coaches. And with the help of this smart page, I am collecting the payments from the participant who are purchasing the enrollment for the webinar. Okay, so let us connect this smart page to Pabbly Connect. In order to do that, open this page of your smart page right over here in Instamojo. After doing that, you have to click on this three dots and go to edit page right over here. As you're going to come towards the edit page, from the left side of the panel, go to page settings, and from the drop down, go to webbook right over here. It says add webbook. Toggle this button on right here. For this webbook URL, paste the webbook URL that Pabbly Connect has provided us. It is asking for the information to be sent. There are two options: successful payments and the failed payments. I want the information to be sent should be successful payments, so I'm going to remove the failed payments from here. Okay, after entering the webbook URL and selecting the information to be sent, I'm going to click on the save and update and on yes button right over here to save the changes. It says smart page Mastering Business Automation is successfully edited. As now this page has been successfully edited, now what we are going to do is we are going to go back to our workflow and scroll down. It is saying waiting for webbook response. So now to check whether Instamojo is successfully connected to Pabbly Connect or not, what we are going to do is we are going to do the test payment with the help of this page right over here. And as we're going to do the test payment, then we're going to check whether Pabbly Connect captures the response of the test payment being done or not. Okay, so in order to do the test payment, copy this URL from here and open this URL in a new tab right over here. So this is the payment for this webinar right over here. I'm going to click on this join now button right here. It is asking for the participant details, so let me enter the details. Firstly, for the first name over here, I'm going to write it as test. For the last name over here, I'm going to write it as user. For the email over here, I'm going to write it as testuser4@pabblytudes.com, and for the phone number over here, I'm going to enter a dummy mobile number. After filling in all the details, I'm going to click on this proceed to pay button. As I'm going to do that, it is asking for the payment method. I'm going to select the payment method over here as card. It is asking for all the card details, so I'm going to enter all the card details right here. After entering the card details, I'm going to click on this continue to pay button. As you can see that it says thank you, your payment is successful. As now the payment is done successfully, I'm going to go back to my workflow and scroll down. Over here, I'm going to wait for a few seconds. As I'm going to wait for a few seconds, you can see over here the response of the payment has been captured in our trigger. Over here in the response, you have received the payment ID, currency as INR, completed date and time, you can see right over here, amount is 9, you can see right over here. If I'm going to further scroll down, purpose is webinar. If I'm going to scroll down over here, you can see the details of the participant is there as well. That is test user. Email is testuser4@pabblytudes.com with a dummy mobile number. As now the response of the payment has been captured over here in our trigger, this means that Instamojo has now been connected to Pabbly Connect and our trigger setup is done. After setting up our trigger step, over here my objective is that as soon as by the participant a payment is going to be done using Instamojo, I want to create that participant as a registrant in my live webinar account. Now for that, we're going to set up our action step, and over here for the action application over here, I'm going to select it as live webinar. And for the action event, I'm going to select as create webinar registrant. And then I'm going to click on this connect button. A window is going to appear in front of you, on which click on add new connection, or else you can select the existing connection that you already have. After that, click on connect with live webinar button right here. It is asking for the permission over here, which I'm going to give over here as authorize. As this is a safe process, my data is perfectly saved with Pabbly Connect. So I'm going to click on this authorize button right here. As I'm going to do that, you can see I successfully authorized live webinar with Pabbly Connect. After authorizing, it is asking for us to select the webinar. So over here for the webinar, I've created a webinar in the name of Mastering Business Automation Strategies for Coaches. So I'm going to select the webinar over here right from the drop down. Okay. After that, it is asking for the registration form ID. As soon as you're going to select the webinar, it is automatically going to be selected right here. Then it is asking for the registrant name, email, and all the other details, with the help of which we are going to create a registration in our live webinar account. So for the data of these fields, what we're going to do is we are going to map the data. What is mapping? Mapping means inserting data from the previous step. So we're going to insert the data from the previous step of this workflow. And how it works is that as soon as I'm going to click on this field, this was the previous step. As I'm going to click on it, this is the same response that was captured in the previous step. And in this response, we have received our participant's details. And I want to enroll this participant. I want to create this participant as a registrant in the webinar. So for the data of this field, I'm going to select the data of the name of my registrant from my previous response. As I've selected the data from my previous response, the data is mapped. And as I've mapped the data has now become dynamic. That means now whenever a new response is going to be captured in our previous step, automatically the new data is going to be updated in place of this mapped data. Similarly, for the email, I'm going to map the data of the email right over here, okay? After that, it is asking for send confirmation registrant email. So I'm going to select as yes, as I want to send the confirmation email, okay? After that, it is asking for the registrant first name, last name, and the emails. Firstly, for the email, I'm going to map the data of the email that I've received right over here, okay? Now, as it is asking for the first name and the last name, in the response, I have received the participant's first name and the last name together. So we need to split the first name with the last name. Now, in order to do that, we're going to add another action step to this workflow. And for the action application over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it as text formatter by Pabbly. With the help of this amazing feature by Pabbly Connect, we can format the text according to our requirement. And for the action event, as we're splitting the first name and the last name, I'm going to select it as split text. And then I'm going to click on this connect button. It is asking for the text to split. I want to split the name, so I'm going to map the data of the name of my participant right here. Now, how can we split the text first name and the last name? You can see between these two first name and the last name, there is a space over here. So with the help of the space, we are going to separate these two values. Now in the help desk over here in the separator, it says for space or separator, use this code right over here. So I'm going to copy this code from here and paste this code right over here, as I'm going to use the space in order to separate the first name with the last name. For the segment index, I want both first name and the last name. So I'm going to select over here as all. And then I'm going to click on this save and send test request button. As I've done that, you can see first name and the last name has been separated from each other. So now what we're going to do is over here for the first name field, I'm going to map the data of the first name from this response, and for the last name also, I'm going to map the data of the last name right over here, okay? After filling in all the required details, I'm going to click on this save and send test request button right here. As I'm going to do that, we have received a response in which we have received the data ID, which is a positive response. So now I'm going to log into my LiveWebinar account to check whether a new registrant has been created in it or not. For that, I'm going to open my LiveWebinar account. So this is my LiveWebinar account, and this is the webinar that I'm hosting. You can see right over here. And now to check whether a registrant has been there, so you can see in attendees it says manage registrants. I'm going to click on this button right over here, and as I'm going to do that, you can see a new registration for test user with the email as testuser4@pabblytudes.com has been created in my LiveWebinar account. So as the registrant has been created in my LiveWebinar account, this means that we have successfully created an automation between Instamojo and LiveWebinar with the help of Pabbly Connect. So now to sum up till now what we have done, I am a business coach, and using Instamojo, I collect the payments for the webinars that I'm hosting, and I use LiveWebinar in order to manage all the webinars that I'm hosting. For the trigger, I've selected as Instamojo new sale, as whenever by the participant, a payment for the webinar session is going to be done using Instamojo. The trigger is here going to capture the response. And for the action, I've selected as LiveWebinar create webinar registrant. Now using the details of the participant from the trigger, automatically a registrant in the webinar is going to be created in my LiveWebinar account. And with Pabbly Connect, I built this connection between these two applications in this manner. So this was it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Not just with these applications, you can create automation between multiple other applications with the help of Pabbly Connect. If you have any questions, you can contact us on support@pabbly.com. If you have any queries, you can check the queries on forum.pabbly.com. And if you have any pricing related issues, then you can check out this link. If you like this video, please do subscribe to our channel, hit on the like button, comment on if you have any questions or doubts, and please share this video.